Welcome everybody today to our event. We have here Jamal and Parsa. I would like to welcome both of you here today to help present and talk about the contract management CLM use cases here that we have. So my name is Heather. I am the community champion from Winnipeg. And, I'm very happy that you guys are here today to join us and to get started. I'm more than happy to pass this off to Jamal to kick
Awesome.
us off.
Thank you. Thank you. One, I would like to say, Heather, thank you. I've known Heather for quite a few years now. And it's great to see that she's still kicking and rocking. And I definitely appreciate you, everyone that took the time out of their day to join the call. It's usually late evening for us. It's about 7 o'clock, but I know some of you guys are based out in the States, so it's good to reconnect and actually speak English for a change and not try to speak Polish. So this is good. We definitely appreciate you. Just a quick little introduction about, who is Warsaw Dynamics. We are a company based out of Warsaw, Poland. If you do ever travel here, feel free to ping us up. We'll be happy to take you out for a coffee or for some lunch or drinks or something like this. We are a Atlassian marketplace vendor dedicated to enhancing productivity and collaboration through innovative add-ons for Jira, Confluence, mainly focusing around development and custom solutions as far as the plugins that we have that help with like project management, improving team communication, building up transparency, automating workflows with some of our apps. So our pretty much our expertise helps organizations optimize their use of Jira and Confluence. So ensuring that they get the most out of the tools that we offer. And we are definitely open to finding out, different ways about use cases, how we can support them, what's keeping people up at night, how to improve day-to-day operations, and as well as I think the biggest one is how to save companies money, which you can do with some of our add-ons. So that's a quick introduction. I am Jamel. I am the Strategic Alliance Partner Manager here. Who is going to do the presentation is my colleague Parsa. I kind of like to call him our CTO because he's pretty much like technical and as well as helps run the company. He just likes to be like the technical specialist, but I think he's much more than what his role actually consists of. So I will pass this off to Parsa, and yeah, I hope you guys like the presentation. If you guys do have any questions, please feel free to raise a hand in the group chat. Raise a hand, and I'll call on you once I can kind of squeeze in a break between Parsa, or you can wait and save your questions at the end, or just drop them in the comment box, and I'll be happy to either elaborate on them with a quick message, or just save it to the end, and I'll have Parsa kind of demonstrate through the presentation. Cheers, guys. Over to you, Parsa.
Hey, Jamal. So, hi everyone. I think Jamal already gave some introduction about me. So, I'm Parsa. My actual position is the CGO, which is supposed to be the growth officer, the chief growth officer. I try to help our company essentially reach a bigger audience, improve our apps. So anything that has to do with the growth of our company. Regardless, we're not here to talk about me. We want to have a look at the CLM tools and how modern companies manage their contracts and their documentations. Well, I would like to use the word contracts in this context specifically because we are going to be discussing contracts particularly. And so I will just get to it. To the main point. And so the concept I want to discuss today is we are modern companies. All of you that are here are somewhat using Atlassian tools or somehow connected to Atlassian tools. that already means that you're familiar with the idea of agile, you're familiar with the idea of modern workplaces, and you like your automations, you like to get things done faster, more efficient, you like them to be done with a higher quality. Many of you might have issues with the challenges that security officer may bring up, or audit issues that your company may face due to handling sensitive information or due to the nature of your company, right? So if it's a banking system, if it's an insurance system, and so on. So in the end of the day, when it comes to contract management, things get a little bit interesting. I will get to that in a moment. I just want to give you a little bit of a backstory of what we are even talking about, what contracts are, just to keep this a little bit fun, hopefully for you, and not make it a fully boring technical analysis of your workspace. So I'm going to skip the part that's about myself. We did that part already. And now to the, hopefully the fun part. So trust has always been the heart of contracts. The way we manage them has evolved over time significantly. But essentially, it just began with people making agreements, right? So this was solely relying on trust, on mutual understanding. And this was done in the absence of any formal structure, right? So these agreements often took like a sacred quality, right? They were divine, and that's how it actually started. So in the early contracts, 1500 BCE, you had these like gods that were made to represent what a contract meant. Heather, you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, your slides, are you screen sharing right now as you go along, or because I'm not seeing?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm not seeing the screen share.
Maybe I will. Thank you for that.
Oh, no problem. I just realized that.
Okay,
Okay.
can you see it now?
I can
Yeah.
see it now. Yeah, everybody else can see it now.
I had to reset that. I don't know. Okay. Thank you, Heather.
No, no problem. I just realized that.
Yeah. So again, here's my beautiful graph that I created. So as I was saying, that in the early days, these contracts had sort of a sacred form to them, right? And that's how they evolved. They were promises. Later, in the early formation of money, of coins, so the Romans started producing these stamps for the king that were sort of a promise that once the military will come back, they will have pay to go and buy food, right? That was a promise delivered by the empire. Later in China, they started writing down those promises and they removed the coin form, the metal form, and they started to take a little bit more form of an actual agreement as we know it these days, right? So they created essentially the paper money. The Brits later brought it to the England and so on. 1215 was the first ever sort of formal contract as we know it. It was a written statement that provided protection for a series of people. And so it was like a church and the government formal agreement. Only since the 18th century, we started to see a little bit of more like industrial form of contracts. And finally, we had the standardized written agreements, written contracts, right? So they were not just a bunch of text, but they actually had to be audited. They actually had to follow the law and so on and so forth. Later, in the recent years, only in the 1990s, we started to see the first ever signs of the e-signatures. So you could actually sign something digitally. And moving forward, these days we have these crazy new formats of what we consider contracts. You have the smart chains, smart contracts running on these blockchains and so forth. And so this is the story of what are the contracts, and the reason why it's going to be important is what I want to discuss is we are, as modern companies, trying to achieve a modern way of dealing with our contracts because we want them to be done better, faster, and so on and so forth, right? We want to have them audited. Yet, even in the more modern companies, even the ones that are following agile principles, often we lack a system that is taking care of our contracts in a manner that's modernized, right? So what do I mean by that? Let me just go to the next channel. When it comes to contract management, most companies lack a centralized local system that is sort of aligned with the modern ways, right? And why that's an exception when it comes to the management, because we manage teams agile, we manage our work in an agile way, we manage everything else in a very modern way. And the answer is, well, there are multiple answers. One of them is that there is simply no option. There is no signing option on Atlassian that is native to the, for example, to Confluence or to Jira. And then the second issue is that more modern contracts require more dynamic fields. They require attachments at times, and other tools that sort of speed up the procedure. And on top of that, many modern companies still prefer on-site signing methods. They don't really want to send out contracts over mail, or they don't want them to be done when two people are in two different locations. So on top of that, you of course have things like compliance issues, as I mentioned earlier, like audits, sometimes verification of the person who's signing. You have the cost efficiency because, and we will go through through cost efficiency in a moment. Other than that, it's mainly the lack of the option being available. Some additional problems that you can face when it comes to modern ways is, again, archiving. What are the methods that the signer can sign? What customization options you have? Security levels, if there can be other parties involved in the contract without being signers. If you have automations, so you can get contracts signed automatically, create them automatically. What's the visibility like? How can you provide visibility to the management? How can you provide visibility to the HR that, hey, we are terminating a contract, or we are hiring a new person? And then, of course, things like file management and onboarding. Some additional data just to defend my chain of thought on this is 55% of businesses currently have adapted to cloud-only solutions, right? Companies roughly lose 9% of their revenue due to poor contract management. On top of this, 20 to 40% of the legal departments have reported that they are losing, that the contracts are being handled by non-professionals, non-legal professionals. And 70% of businesses rely on roughly 2 up to 3 different tools to manage their contracts. This is very common even in the modern companies. You can see many companies are using tools like DocuSign is quite a famous one, DropSign, and then they have it signed, they export it, import the files, and then they only place it into a filing system, or they archive them. And so of course, if they want to then communicate that with the bigger group, then they are importing it into their Confluence accounts. So really there is sometimes up to three different tools that they are using only to get the contract signed. If you have a proper tool that is helping you organize those contracts, you can, this is, of course, this is not my claim. These are the claims that I've found over Contract Safe and World DCC, WorldCC documentations. But there is claims that it can help up to 80% to increase the cycle of the contract lifecycle time. 47% of sale decisions are also delayed simply due to the signature obtaining process. Now, again, when processes are delayed, it's not necessarily a direct hit on the company, but oftentimes in the long run, it means less revenue or less efficiency. So solutions. I mean, I'm nagging a lot about the lack of options and why we cannot achieve what we want. There are options. There's a couple of them. So a classic option would obviously be a standalone CLM tool. You have a contract lifecycle manager, and it just pretty much does everything, right? It has automation, it's compliant because most of them are very large tools backed by very large companies. It's super easy to track contracts. They have statuses. They have resolutions and priorities and everything you need to really sign a contract. The problem with those standalone contracts, lifecycle managers are, well, A, they are costly. They're expensive. And B, if you're already using another tool like a knowledge base, or if you're using a ticketing system like Jira, and you really just want to sometimes convert some of those things into contracts, and you want to manage all those contracts inside your knowledge base, you don't really want to have another tool, have another system, then they don't really provide you with that. They don't have proper integrations because those are very big platforms and they really want to keep everything within that platform, right? So then, of course, the most, I think, famous of them all is the e-signature tools. So you have fast signing options. They are more affordable, but they are fragmented. What I mean by fragmented, I mean they take care of a single issue for you. They take care of the signing problem. They don't take care of the managing problem. They don't take care of the arrangements, the archival, the tracking. So they will get the contract signed for you. And once the contract is signed, it's up to you what you're going to do with that contract. It's up to you to manage it. It's up to you to update it, to keep track on what's happening to that contract, if it expires, and so on and so forth. And of course, they are limited in features. Often, many of those tools are even free, and if they are not, still they are very limited in those features, as I mentioned earlier. So, if you want to scale up, if you want to have more possibilities to work with your integrated systems, you could, of course, think about e-signature APIs. Many of the same companies that provide e-signature tools, again, such as DocuSign, they offer API systems, right? And so what's great about them is that they are customizable, because with the API, you can pretty much write your own body, you can write your own JSONs, and you can connect them to many different systems, create many different automations. And they're great if you want to scale up, right? If you want to integrate with multiple systems, you want to have a Slack notifications and send the contracts to your Confluence and so forth. The problem is that they're complex. You can't have HR do that. You're going to need to have, or you cannot have your managers or the sales team or the partnerships deal with that. You're going to need to have a technical person or a technical team often back up the e-signature API use, right? So you need to essentially create your own, in order for everyone to use it, you would need to create your own macro tool to allow for some way of other users integrating with the tool. But that's still going to keep it complex, and it's going to be very costly to set up, partially because you're going to need to use your team to set it up, but also because APIs are not cheap either. It requires constant maintenance because, trust me, if you're only signing NDAs and you're never going to change the contract, that's perfectly fine. But if you ever work with APIs, you know that the smallest changes are made, problems are gonna start happening. And so, at last, you may say, hey, listen, all of those options are great. They sound cool, but we just like our traditional way of signing. We don't really care for signing tools. It's cheap and it's acceptable. Like, no one can tell me that this contract is invalid because, well, it's a real signature. And to answer you is yes, but that's going to be slow. And it's cheap only in the moment, but it's going to add up because you're going to need to have a manual way for archiving them. You're going to need to have a hard time tracking those contracts. You're going to have problems, again, remembering about the expiration dates and the resending of the contracts and all of those additional problems. There's some of the companies that are providing those tools in case you wanted to check them out. So one of the most famous, like Conga or iCertis, are the CLM tools. Of course, DocuSign, Adobe, DropSign, those companies provide signature tools. Signature APIs are the same almost. And of course, traditionally, you can always just rely on a pen and paper, right? So where am I getting at? Why am I telling you those problems that exist with existing tools? Why am I telling you about their strong suits and their weaknesses? And what our company is working on, what our company is proposing, was develop a tool that could do both of the functions, integrate that with the signature tools, and have that be part of your Confluence. We also have a Jira version. That's irrelevant today. I just want to focus on Confluence because it's just makes more sense when it comes to contract management, but we do have a Jira version. So in general, when you are looking at CLM systems, you want to take care of 3 different stages of the process. You have the pre-signing phase, you have the signing phase, and you have the post-signing phase, right? So the pre-signing phase is you send a request, you want to get an NDA signed. In the case of our CLM tool, you can achieve that by simply creating an NDA page on your Confluence, and that's it. You have created the body of the contract. You can then customize. You can place where the signing is going to be, where the a start date is going to be, if you require some metadata inside the contract, if you want to deduct part of the contract. And of course, pre-signing also includes the approval part, right? Every contract normally would go through a review phase and an approval phase. Again, this can be handled on Confluence easily, especially with their latest addition of the statuses, page statuses. So then we get to the signing part. This is the part that's handled by most of the signing tools. You send the contract for signing. Both parties are reviewing the contract. Hopefully they will sign it. You will have those automated reminders that if the contract stays over 2 days, they'll get another email. and eventually, hopefully, you will get the signed contracts, unless they will request, of course, changes to the contract. And then you will have the post-signing phase. Post-signing phase is gaining more and more importance when it comes to new companies. Again, auditability, to have an audit phase, to be able to have paper trailing, and store the signed contract, and to be able to reuse that template for later contracts. And of course, to track and to access those contracts whenever needed, right? So if I were to put all of this into a sort of a battle card, what I would do, this is what you roughly get in the end of the day. This is not to tell you what solution is the best. Hopefully, what it's going to do is to inform you what solution is the best for you. If you're thinking more about process efficiency, you cannot go wrong with eSign API. Those are the best. They are the fastest. They are the easiest. Sorry, not the easiest. They are the most difficult to set up, but they are the best when it comes to efficiency. If you have the proper team and if you are willing to make the cost for it, right? If you are going for again ease of use, I would say, well, you always have the eSign tools, because you don't really have the setup that the API eSign tools are providing you, but you still do get the relatively fast, relatively easy way to get the contract signed. There is not really much great things happening with the manual signing method, but if you want to get a sort of a balanced result, a standalone CLMs are always a great choice. The only problem, again, major problem, is integration possibilities, and of course the cost. Our solution has tried to provide all of those requirements that your company may need, and create a package that can provide you with all of those things, because we are providing a very fast process, a reusable process. You can reuse your pages as contracts. There is clear visibility, similar to the ones that a standalone CLM would provide you. There is easy tracking of the contracts. It's very easy to use. Any basic user can figure out how to use the tool. And it makes it great to collaborate, not because our tool is great, but because Confluence is great. Jira is great. You actually have the possibility, you're unleashing the power of Jira and Confluence to help you collaborate on the contracts. And it's fully integrated, right? If you would like to have this presentation, I believe, Heather, I can pass it to you if you would like to pass that to anyone. I hope that it will open your eyes a little bit in terms of give you an idea of what tools could work best for you. That's our app. And last, I'm going to give you a quick tour. We're going to create one contract, and hopefully that's going to be it. I just want to demonstrate how quickly we can create the contract. So as you can see, I have created two agreements here, one of which is what we call a static agreement, meaning all of the data here is hard-coded into the contract, things such as the date, such as the name of the assignee, sorry, not assignee, name of the assignee, email address, and other information that may be on the contract. And I've also created another version of the contract using our macros, contract signatures macros, that is going to make that dynamic, right? So we are going to sign the dynamic contract. Right. Title, it will automatically take the Confluence page title. You can create the deadlines for the signing. You have the time zone. You can append the audit trail. So the access to the page, you can create a sign in order. So first person, then the second person will have to sign, and you can include attachments. Here, I'm going to change the default access method, although you can parameterize what every person is going to have a different access method. You can do that. For the sake of this demonstration, I will cut it short and I'll make it a URL. You can pick what kind of signature method you want to have. So if you want them to draw, if you want them to upload a picture or render it using our tool. And of course, you have OTP options. For this case, I will simply remove the OTP again for simplicity and to save time. And I'm just going to put another signer here. Yes, Heather?
I had a question. What's that append audit trail about?
So if you go here on the contract, you can see that we collect some data on who's accessing the contract, what type of action they've taken. So we can append this to the contract when we are sending it out. So you can actually see the activity on the contract. It's a form of visibility, so to provide visibility for some systems. Some security architects are concerned about those things because you know, if a contract is accessed too many times, for example, they might be suspicious of some activities. In which case, by the way, we also send out alert emails to the contract creator, informing them of the issue. So we have the contract here. This is the signing page. And as you can see, some of those macros are non-editable. So I've asked the metadata macro, sorry, the signer macro to take the name of the signer, to put the email address of the signer here. But some of them are interactable, right? So I can choose a date, and I can upload or render a signature. I can sign it. Normally, if you have the OTP enabled, you will have to go get the OTP, add the OTP here. In this case, again, for speeding up the process, I didn't do that. Now, imagine if you're in the office, you can simply switch the signer from here. This wouldn't work if you had other methods like the email method. You wouldn't be able to sign on behalf of other users, but this is the method we use mostly for signing on the spot. So you can simply change the signer. The other signer will have to fill in the fields that they are required. You can sign the contract. The contract is signed. All parties will receive, since we configured it to do so, will receive a full contract with the certificate. And if you click on contract signatures here, you can actually see the contract. And and you can download the HTML or the PDF signed contract directly from here. You can also navigate to the global settings. And from here, you can track all of the contracts you have across all of the Confluence. Shivam, yes, please.
Yeah. So I have a question here. Like you have selected the URL thing to sign the contract.
Correct.
So if I select the email or the Atlassian account, so how will it appear? Like, do we get a PDF for that, or we got a column to sign the document from there?
So if you select the email, you will receive an email with a link to the signing page.
Okay.
And if you select the Atlassian one, you will receive a link to your Atlassian account that can only be accessed by you
Okay. Okay.
to the signing page. So essentially, the signing page looks the same. The only difference is how you will access that link and how private you are going to get the link. The URL method that we use right now is 95% of the time it's used for, like, I would say even 100% is used like for on-site signing processes, right?
Mhm.
So you don't really use it if you want to sign a contract with someone who's away from you, right? Then you would use an email. And for internal processes, the Atlassian account is actually a very good option.
Okay. Okay. Got
Safe
it.
on. Cool.
Thank you.
So you can track your contracts from here. You have an awaiting for your signatures tab. I don't have any awaiting for me right now. And of course, we have a ton of customization options. Some of these customizations have to do with security, such as enabling custom domain to increase trust for the person who's signing, having watermarks. Some have to do with the organization part of the CLM. So how you would like to name the contracts, you can use dynamic naming conventions to do that. What fonts you want the contract to use, and some have to do again with how you are reaching. So you have the email SMTP configuration. You can also directly integrate with Gmail and Outlook. And of course, you can customize every single outgoing email that we send in both text and HTML. And you can, of course, use those dynamic values to make them really, really, really customizable. Now, if you notice, the SMS OTP was not enabled during our contract demo. That's because we haven't selected an SMS API here. We collaborate with different companies like MessageBird, Legal, to allow you to integrate your systems and get SMS SMTPs. So if you have those, you can do that. You can absolutely connect phone numbers and get the OTP on your phone. Webhook configuration. So this is actually a great customization if you want to increase visibility within your organization. For example, if you want to send a notification to Slack, you can simply add a webhook address, and every time a contract is created, we will send notification to that webhook, or every time it's signed, or every time it's completed, meaning all the parties have signed and have come to a resolution on that contract. And of course, last but not least, we expose APIs. You can create a lot of different automations. You can have, again, as I mentioned, every time a contract is created, every time a page is created, create a contract. Or the sky is the limit when it comes to those APIs, because basically you can create your wildest automations that you have in mind. You can get search, so access your contracts from different systems, archive them, and even create contracts. We have full JSON documentation. You can have a look at that in the documentation. So we do have API exposure as well. Any questions? Amal, anything you would like to add?
Yeah, I have to like ask one thing. Like it
Yeah.
is shown for the conference, like so we have a dynamic use case for the similar contract lifecycle. So I talked with my colleague. He is managing contracts in the Jira only. Like he is maintaining epics as their contract, then the story as their subcontract, and requirements are like task. So if they are managing contracts like this, so can we use the contract signature over there in the Jira to sign contracts, or is it just for the
Absolutely.
Confluence?
The general concept of the tool is to convert your pages or tickets into
Mm.
signable contracts.
Mhm.
We have a Jira version. I don't know if I have it installed here, but yeah, we have a Jira version of contract signatures, and it will do exactly the same thing. It will create contracts out of your Jira tickets.
Okay,
So
okay.
I create a contract. And you can see that it's the
Mhm.
same method, same thing.
Okay, okay. That's good to know.
I chose the email configuration, so it's sending me the link. I'm not gonna go to the email and open the link, but yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
understand the point.
got it, got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Question for you.
Sure.
Could this work with automation so that when a ticket gets moved to the approval status in JSM, it would create that contract and then send it over?
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
that because
Absolutely. You have, oh, sorry, please go ahead. There is a
yeah,
delay, so
yeah, no, that's okay. I was just thinking about it in terms of use cases where you have these contracts where one, you're sending approval to a manager to say, yes, I want to buy some hardware, or yes, you can buy some hardware for this person. And then B, you want to send off like an agreement to the person that's going to get the hardware for that contract signing, saying that, yes, this is our template. Yes, you guys agreed to do XYZ with it. And then so that's why I was curious if this worked with automation, because there's a few different approval approaches that you could take from and I'm picking on IT management just as a standard use case for this.
yeah. So it's interesting you ask that. And normally when it comes to approval management, I would like to recommend a different tool that we have. But in this particular scenario, in the particular use case you are talking about, where two agreements are absolutely necessary, yes, it could work. You simply need to utilize the API and create your automations. And you should be able to set it up. I don't see why not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I don't think we do. Well, if you guys do have any questions, I'll put our information down here in the group chat. Feel free to one second. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to set up like a longer demo session with you. We can also talk about your use case, talk about some solutions that you guys might be interested in, or maybe some feature prioritization that would help your organization. Um, with everyday solutions that you guys when it comes to like your contracts and how you send them, how you're creating them as far as like what Parsa mentioned before, which was the factors of the importing and exporting and back and forth, especially if there's some typos that are missing that need to be corrected, etc. And then I also know that with some of our contracts as well too, that when you're previewing or sending over a draft, you can put like watermarks on it so that way it stays secure. So we do focus a lot around the security permission, security around the aspects of sending, sharing a contract with an external user or with someone within your organization, maybe a different department. That is one of our top priorities. So if you guys do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us directly. I can also put the where you can find more information about as far as like the doc. Sorry, I have a 6-year-old daughter who wants to be a singer, so she's singing really loud right now. Um, but if you guys do want more information about contract signatures, I will put the description down in the below.
While you're doing that as well, can you guys put up the QR code again for the app?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. There you go.
There you go.
And also, as Jamal's doing that, I do want to just highlight as well, if you guys have any questions, you feel free to always email me as well, and I can help you get in touch with these guys. And with anyone else that could help you out.
Yeah, even if you have just some simple questions or anything like that, um, to keep the piece around the ACE community, please reach out to Heather first, and just kind of inform her that you've taken part of the this ACE community event, and that you want to set up a call with us or just send over some general questions. We'll be happy to connect with her on those and see how we can help you. Maybe book a call or have a further demo session. If anyone does want to try out the tool, it is available on the marketplace on cloud. Um, but if you do need like an extended period just to kind of run through the processes of how everything looks, do an implementation of proof of concept, we can also help with that. So yeah, just feel free to just reach out to Heather, and she'll put you guys in contact with us.
Absolutely. So and with that, I do want to thank you guys for your time today. I do appreciate it. I understand it's late at night for you over in Poland, so
Yeah, it's not too bad. The sun is still up. Well, the sky is still bright, so not too bad.
that's summer. That's just summertime. That's not even.
I mean, but it's super cold here lately. We've been catching a lot of rain here, so I think it's gonna even rain again because I see some black clouds.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, we're
E-
still
Even
up.
my even my dog didn't want to go out today. So
Cremo, hey, what's going on, man? I'll reach out to you, Cremo, shortly when we're back from the GUITEX European event in Berlin next week. So I'll definitely been meaning to reach out to you. So I will connect with you.
All right. And with that, I do want to thank you guys all for coming. And for the Winnipeg chapter, just to let you know, we are starting our planning session for our Canada Day event. So we'll be starting to plan it out. So keep your eyes open as well. And for the other communities, we will also be sharing and posting out some events for them as well that you guys can join in on. So thank you again for your time. I really do appreciate it. And thank you as well, Jamal and Prima, for presenting today. Again, wonderful presentation. Thank you. And as for everybody, please enjoy the rest of your day.
thank you. You have a good one, Heather.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Cheers,
Thanks
bye.
again.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.